Hello everybody, this is Christy from the Be the Light YouTube channel, and I thank you so much for stopping by. I send you love today, tomorrow, and continuously. In this video, I am going to talk about healing your inner child, and I was given this message here because of what I am personally experiencing today. Another thing that I am experiencing today, there's a lot going on. Our inner child is that little person who either existed or never had a chance to. And doing the healing part, or healing your inner child, is a very, very difficult process. I believe I have done a lot of healing in this area, but I know there's still something that is still present with me because of a recurring health issue. If you have healing to do in this area, it will manifest within your health. This is an area that is in relationship to your kidneys, your bladder, your reproductive system, urinary system, lymphatic system, lower back and pelvis, and your hips. So physically, if you are having any difficulty here, and this is your sacral chakra, and I have spoken about this area, that those of us who have been sexually abused, physically abused, or ends up having low self-esteem, witnessed any sort of abuse in their childhood, children who couldn't express themselves, were taught fear early on, were told no and constricted early on, children who were left to be separate from others. I've had a lot of that going on. I was sexually abused at a very young age. I wasn't nurtured and loved by adult figures. I was told no a lot, to stay home, and to grow up fast. I did not have my voice, and the sacral chakra also teams up with your throat chakra, which is why I said you don't have a voice when you don't speak about anything. You're really shy. This area, your sacral chakra, will be very weak, and you will have tons of symptoms. I was always regular in my period. I haven't had a lot of health problems at all in my young adulthood or my upbringing. Well, I had my period very early on. I was 9 years old when it began. So I guess that could have been the first indication that it was out of balance. But then my cycles really became erratic and crazy, probably about 10, maybe 12 years ago, when my husband and I tried to first conceive, and which it started out of the blue. It was fine for forever, for a long time, all of my life, always consistent, at least between, 23 to 29 days. It was always on time. I would be off, within a few days, but always there. I've never had a missed period up until the day or the month that we wanted to conceive. And so then I would have either no periods for months at a time, or I would have periods, very heavy periods at that, for months at a time. So it was really crazy. And it was on and off, on and off, on and off for at least 10 years. So I've been dealing with that for 10 to 12 years of this. And I currently haven't had a period. I think it's been 3 months now. So I know I have physically, my body is telling me there is unresolved issues here. And it's also, I think, for myself, the fear of being abandoned might be an issue, or not being worthy of certain things in my life, or even it could be fear of change. I don't know. I haven't figured this out. And sometimes when we are on this healing journey, we don't have to figure things out. But when we are ready to move forward, things will take place. I have already been thinking lately, because of my own progress, my mental, your thought process will always tell you what is wrong or what is coming up. So I have actually been thinking about my cycles, just like, well, I haven't had one. And that's triggering a healing process, because I have great faith that the light is going to help me do everything. And just by my own awareness now, recently, that, is bringing back into my awareness that I haven't had a cycle, that something is physically amiss, which means I have something mentally still present, and that I have something physically still present, and probably something within my heart that needs to be released. So, of course, as I have been mentioning to you, the energy comes in to help us heal and push things out. As we receive, we push. We receive and we push. But if you are in resistance to receiving divine light, you are not going to push anything out, and that divine light is going to try to get in there, and you're pushing against that as well. So it's like a 2-for-1 imbalance. So this was brought to my awareness, and now I know that this area is going to be healed, because right after I received this message that this is going to be taking place, I began feeling a coolness in my sacral chakra, and then tons of movement and pressure. And it's also taking place in my heart. So I know that the light is doing its job for me. It's doing what I was unaware of that needed to be cleared. And sometimes we might clear our thoughts and emotions, but like I said before, the clearing has to take place from our physical form as well. And then we can receive more divine light as a result of that clearing. Our physical body will keep trauma for as long as it will, until it is healed. And so I already explained that if you were someone who was sexually abused, physically abused, mentally abused, felt abandoned or violated in any way. If you are someone who even had an abortion, chose to abort your baby, your fetus, that you may have a blockage here. And from what I have gathered as well, if you have a larger midsection, this is one reason. If you have periods, of course, like I just said, that are so out of whack, experience any of those other imbalances that I did mention previously, and you lack, desire, things like that, this is an indication that you need to strengthen your sacral chakra. And there's all sorts of ways. It's either really getting to the root of your problems and then really admitting to it. You have to really admit to the choices that you have made, or really sit and think about what has taken place in your life. When I was abused, I had to really forgive myself for it, because I was the one who actually did the most damage. Yes, it was a traumatic incident, and yes, I didn't have the adult figures there when I needed them. But what I did afterwards was tortured myself, and I did it ever since the occurrence. We can't always blame somebody else for what has taken place in our own life, because we end up, after the incidents, after it takes place, we will continuously think about it, or we will try to push it away and hide it and pretend as if it never really occurred, so we're not dealing with it. And then it'll always come back up when we are in a situation that's similar or makes us uncomfortable, just like we felt when we were younger. So for myself, I felt tons of anxiety and fear when I was in a crowd, all because of being sexually abused. I always felt like I was being attacked, regardless if I was being attacked or not. I couldn't stand being around a lot of men. Yet, ironically, I had more male friendships than I have had female friendships, which is really, really odd. So, like I said, admitting what has taken place as it took place. And I have always recommended the "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you" letters to yourself, mostly to yourself. Because, like I said, we cause ourselves the most trauma by always thinking or not thinking, trying not to, and suppressing things from our past. It's essential to heal yourself. And the only way you can heal yourself in your physical form is to heal yourself on an emotional way. You can't figure out what's wrong with you in your physical form until you go back and fix all of those emotions you've been holding on to. So this is where I am. I am healing this area again, and we will always go back and forth throughout this process and fix and heal and balance certain chakras. It will, even though I may have felt the balancing or clearing months ago or a year ago, there's always more. I mean, imagine how long have you been alive? How long have you had certain emotions? How long have you been blocking certain things? So there's a lot. It will always have to be cleared. But the great thing about it, when you finally just step in to wanting to be your honest to goodness best self and your beautiful light, God will do this for you. The energy that comes down will do the clearing for you. It's always been trying to do that for us. But we refrain and we take it in as a physical pain. And then we go to the doctors and we get surgeries and we get medications, and it blocks us even more because that's another trauma now on top of it. And then we have that to clear. If we just always knew and understood God's beautiful divine light is coming in to heal us at all times, be open to that receiving. It will do the work for us. It will help bring to surface, help bring to light all of the things that we have been failing to see, or all the things that are really unnecessary for us to see. God will release it for us, and it will be gone. I need this to be gone. When we don't have a menstrual cycle, or when we have one that's, continuously it makes us feel incomplete, or it makes us feel like a freak. Like something's wrong with us when we can't conceive. There it is. A trigger. These are necessary tears for me now. And this is going to help release my burden. So this is it. I know now. Why I haven't had my menstrual cycle. Why and other things. When I had my son, I knew I was not going to abort him. I had just turned 20. I was single. I had no real education. I was working at, a grocery store. And I was terrified. But I knew I was going to have him. And I did my best with him. He came out premature. And I loved him. But after my sexual abuse, I swore that I was never going to have a child, ever. Because of my fear of my child experiencing the same thing that I went through. And even though I had a son, a boy, I still had those fears for him, which kept him close to me. I let him go to a friend's house and spend the night sometimes, but it terrified me to let him out of my arms. yeah, this is it. This is what I have to deal with. But then after I had, when I had my son, even though he was, sick all the time, I knew after I had him, I wanted to have another child. I wanted to get married and have that dream marriage and that dream family. I wanted to be able to give a gift of life to a future husband of mine. And when I met my husband, that was always on my mind. But I think my fear of sexual abuse coming up again for a child I didn't have has prevented me from having another one. So this is how things work. When you become aware of a process, like me telling my story, or me mentioning the purpose of clearing your sacral chakra, actually, all lower ones would be great. Well, you have to clear your root and then your sacral. There's an order that things will take place, but it will always go back and forth. It will go, clearing happens throughout all of them, sometimes simultaneously and sometimes separately, but when you do one, the other will create balance in itself too and bring up emotions. So me doing this brings an awareness to your own path and allows you, it triggers something inside of you. And that triggering, because I am giving you light in my message, I'm giving you love in my message, it will create the healing process for you. So people who do this, like myself and others who I have, watched throughout my process as well, they are healers. This is what it means to be a healer. Also, it's not just energy healers who actually can put their hands upon you and heal you. There are people like myself who don't even have to be in the room with you or in your life, who can be online. And all you do is hear their voice and hear their message, and you receive it, and it begins to do something within you. But you have to be open. And if you're here, hearing this, you're open. Now you should receive this love and heal your inner child. It wasn't your fault, whatever took place in your past. If you couldn't be a child, I'm sorry. If you were harmed as a child, I'm sorry. If you made wrong mistakes, and you're having a hard time dealing with it as a result, I'm sorry. If someone took away your voice, I am sorry. And it's okay for you to heal yourself. You are worthy of that healing. And you are worthy of light and love. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.